Thanks for having us.
First, could you talk a little bit about some of the key responsibilities of the Campus Safety and Security Department here on campus and kind of what some of y'all's day-to-day operations entail?
Sure. So we handle security, emergency management, the security shuttle, which runs from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. during when classes are in session. So we have a variety of duties. We do communication about campus safety and emergency management to the campus community, and do outreach events, training, all sorts of things. Our days are generally not the same from day to day. We have a lot of variety.
And so do y'all work with local law enforcement and things of that nature on kind of like a day-to-day basis?
Yes, so we do work with local law enforcement. Primarily, the university has a contract with Auburn Public Safety. So we're co-located with them right off campus, and we have several locations throughout campus where Auburn Public Safety is an integral part in what we do day to day.
First, I want to talk a little bit about something that's a little bit more timely that I think a lot of our viewers would like to know a little bit more about. What is kind of the stated purpose and function of the AU Alert system here on campus?
So the AU Alert system has been in place since 2007, and it is predominantly to communicate about situations that require immediate action for your safety. So it's usually used for that emergency notification component when there's actually something that you need to do because there's either a dangerous situation or an emergency either occurring on campus or approaching campus. And so that's the main function. We also use it to communicate about critical time-sensitive information like campus closure if we have severe weather or winter weather coming in.
And kind of how long does it usually take the department on average to kind of send out an AU alert when you know something is either happening on campus or happening in the weather or in the community that y'all would like to inform the community, the campus community about?
If it's an immediate situation where there's an emergency, it only takes us a few minutes to send that out. We have a system that we use, a contracted system that is very quick to operate. We have templates built into the system so we can send them very quickly.
And then first, something that very timely is regarding the incident that occurred on January the 24th over right outside of actually our office. Could you go into a little bit of detail about why the department did not send out an AU alert? There's a lot of students who are pretty widely criticized not only on social media but in the actual media about this, and we kind of would like to know a little bit more in detail about why specifically the department did not release one for this particular incident.
From my perspective, I would say because it was over so quickly. You know, the police were doing a routine traffic stop, and by the time it got out of control and the person was fleeing on foot, they captured him within a matter of minutes. And so there really wasn't communicated to us an immediate threat to the campus community that needed to be shared by AU Alert.
Well, some eyewitnesses at the time said that police had guns pulled out on the suspect. They ended up tasing the suspect. Is that not something that would be considered an immediate threat here on Auburn's campus?
I think what's important there is, you know, again, I'm harking back to the fact that we have this contract with Auburn Public Safety. Officers are trained to do their job in a professional manner. They go through hours of training. And in this particular case, it was a routine traffic stop. So would we typically send a AU alert for a routine traffic stop? No. But you know, after 15 or 20 minutes, the person who was the driver actually knew that he had outstanding warrants on him, and I think he made a conscious decision to run. To run once the police maybe brought in a second car, and maybe that was the indication for him that they were aware of the outstanding warrants. The officers, obviously, and I don't want to speak for Auburn Public Safety, but in this case, it looks like they didn't know why the suspect was running, except for possibly the outstanding warrants. But yet they were trained to address a situation like that, at a moment's notice. I think they did a really good job of containing it, and as Susan was alluding to, before when we received a notice that there was a traffic stop, we also received notice shortly thereafter that the suspect was in custody.
So how long did it take for y'all to realize that the incident occurred? Since at least I know our reporters were out there and the guy was apprehended there for at least 5 to 10 minutes out there in the bushes outside. So how long did it take y'all's department to get that information from the public safety division of the city of Auburn?
They notified us as soon as the incident was resolved, you know, because it was rapidly unfolding, and so as soon as they had him in custody, we were notified. We, in hindsight, could have sent something out to the campus sooner. It wasn't an immediate threat, and so I think that's where our minds were when making a decision about sending it, but we understand in hindsight that people were frightened and confused about what was going on, and so we could have gotten our message out there sooner.
So that is something that we wanted to follow up a little bit more on, is that in a situation like this, if it occurred again, would something be sent out a little bit earlier? Would there be a rethinking about possibly sending out an AU alert in a situation like this?
Yes, just as Susan was saying, I think in hindsight, we would err on the side of being overly cautious. Although there is not a danger to the campus or to the students, the staff, or those who are visiting campus on that particular day, I think it's important to communicate that there is nothing to be concerned about. You know, obviously we can't get ahead of social media because there'll be people on the site that are sending out messages that may not be the actual truth, and certainly, you know, the facts are known by Campus Safety and Auburn Public Safety. So we would be better served if we did get something out as quickly as possible.
I think one thing we have to weigh too, I just want to add in there because I've been involved with AU Alert since the beginning, and we have to weigh over alerting as well. So that's something that we're taking into consideration when we're making decisions about sending things out. If it's a dangerous situation, we're not going to hesitate, we're going to send it. But if it's something after the fact, then we have to make sure that it's worthy of sharing, because otherwise if we overshare, then people are going to start discounting the things that we send out.
But what would you say to the students that say Campus Safety sends out things about raccoon bites and bats in the Haley Center, but it takes them multiple hours to send something out about a guy getting tased between the two busiest buildings on campus?
The bats in the Haley Center, a rabbit animal, all of those pose a threat to campus safety, to the campus and to the students, to the faculty, the staff, and to those that are visiting. Those are very real threats. In this case, as Susan alluded to earlier, you know, we believed that the issue was resolved, you know, in a timely manner within 3 to 4 minutes. Therefore, there was no threat to campus.
According to the charges that were filed against the individual, his name was Mitchell Lee Stewart. One of his charges was reckless endangerment. We reached out to the Attorney General's office, and they quoted us in saying that the Alabama Code lists reckless endangerment as like when someone recklessly engages in contact which creates a substantial risk of serious physical injury to another person. Doesn't this a little bit contradict the fact that y'all were saying that he was not a threat to others when reckless endangering he was running across campus?
No, sir. And in this case, that charge was brought by Auburn Police Division, and it was brought because the door on the suspect's vehicle struck the officer. So the officer in that case is the victim. That's the reckless conduct. And but I think it's really inappropriate for either myself or Susan to comment on the charges that are being brought by Auburn Police Division.
So even though the officer was the one actually that was hurt by the door, given the fact that it happened on campus, couldn't that in hindsight have been a student, faculty member, staff member as well?
But the charges were brought based on the events that occurred between the officer and the suspect.
And then something else we wanted to talk about, do you think that the current AU alert system is the most effective way for the department to send out threats that are happening on campus or different safety issues currently? And if not, is there another situation that y'all might be looking into possibly modifying this system?
I personally think that it is very effective. You know, we just did the AU alert test at the end of January, and we sent out over 20,000 text messages in less than 3 minutes. And that's receipt time. So the vendor that we work with actually has connections with the different aggregators and the different cell phone providers, and so they can report back to us exactly when the text messages were delivered to cell phones. If anything, I would encourage students to make sure that they register a cell phone number so that they're getting those text messages, because a lot of students choose not to put a phone number in there. Email is going to take a little bit longer, phone calls are going to take a little bit longer, but that text messaging is very, very quick. We also use social media, and we have the Auburn Safety app, which is fairly new, and we have push notifications through that, as well as the desktop alerting that we have in our classrooms and computer labs. We've also have outdoor warning sirens if it's something that's a really significant emergency that can be used for things other than just weather. And we have our indoor public address system. So we have a lot of different components. We always look at new technology. You know, if we find something else that we think is better, we'll either add it in or replace something with it. But it's one of the important services that we provide to campus. So it's very critical to us to provide something that works well.
When incidents like this happen, a lot of times people bring up something that's been kind of a discussion going on for multiple years on Auburn's campus about the wondering if Auburn needs to bring back its own police department for campus. Is that something that you see that the department could possibly explore, or do you think that that's something that is necessary given the fact that many times when incidents like this occur, people bring up that call again, especially given the fact that it would be something that would be more campus central and things of that nature?
I think there's always room for discussion. That discussion is held at levels that are higher than the folks that sit in this room. But I will tell you today that you know, Auburn University has a good relationship with Auburn Police, with Auburn Public Safety, the city of Auburn. The university, you know, has spoken. We have a long-term agreement with the city of Auburn for police services. What happens in the future beyond, you know, the contractual arrangements that we have currently today, I don't know. I can't speak to that. But I will tell you that Auburn Campus Safety and Auburn Police Division will do all they can, all that's humanly possible to keep the campus safe, as well as, you know, the students, the faculty, and the staff, and all those that visit.
And then a final question in relation to this kind of discussion is, what would you say to the students, the faculty, and the staff that might have been concerned about this incident? What would you say about what your department is doing going forward to prevent future situations like this one from occurring?
I think you always learn from, you know, from your past experience, and in this case, you know, we were focused more on, is there a threat, an actual threat to campus safety, or to the campus and its safety? And we collectively said, no, the threat is non-existent. The person is in custody. The only thing we could have done, I think, is probably just send a message, essentially saying that, you know, with no details beyond Auburn PD is possibly is in the area of Haley Center and the Student Center. A suspect was taken into custody, resumed normal operations, or something to that effect. So I don't think, I do think that we could have possibly gotten something out that was very simple and straightforward, just to kind of calm the fears of those that may have been witnessing the arrest.
And then a final question that's really not as much related to this, but we wanted to go ahead and ask it while you were here. Director King, you're new to campus. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you're getting into the new role and what some of your priorities are going to be going forward in this new role?
My priority is to keep the campus, to make Auburn University the safest campus possible. And I'll do that, you know, employing the tools that we have that are well established here on campus. If I could say that I inherited, you know, a well-oiled machine. I mean, there are a lot of talented people that work in campus safety that were here well before me, and Auburn has benefited from that. You know, my job here is to simply improve where I can, lead the people that are here, and improve on the relationship that we have, you know, currently with Auburn Public Safety, and really just be an asset to the university where possible. And while I'm hearing you asking questions, I think it's important for for campus safety to be available to the students. If there's something that campus safety can do that or a question that you might have or that your parents may have, if you can't find that information on the campus safety homepage or on the campus safety app, by all means call us. And I don't mind taking calls from parents. It seems like I get emails daily from parents that have young ones away from home for the first time, and they just want someone to tell them exactly what we believe to be the case on this campus.
Given the fact that many students kind of criticize the fact that y'all were sending emails about things that might seem a little bit more minor, things like the rabid animals or the bats in the Haley Center versus somebody getting tased on the concourse between the Student Center and the Haley Center, could y'all talk a little bit about those differences and why y'all send those emails out versus some of these other ones?
Sure. So we have a couple of different ways that we communicate. We've got emergency notification, which is AU Alert, and that is a situation requiring your immediate action for your safety. We also have timely warnings, which we call campus safety notices, and those we send by email and social media, and those are to tell you about a crime that has occurred on property owned or controlled by the university or a student organization where the perpetrator hasn't been apprehended, and there could be an ongoing threat, but it's not an immediate threat. And then we also send out campus safety advisories, which are just more general in nature and may share general safety tips or holiday theft prevention information about emergency exercises that we conduct on campus. So those are the three different main types of communication we send out.
And then in addition, even though this incident that occurred in late January is the one that's really in the news and had a lot of dialogue, some other students have pushed out and have also mentioned the fact that campus safety also didn't send alerts at the time of there was a gun fired on campus at the time of the Iron Bowl last year, and then also, of course, during there was no AU alert sent at the time of the Tiger Transit rape incident. Could y'all go into a little, I know Director King, you weren't here at the time, so I know you probably can't speak on those issues, but Ms. McAllister, can you go into that a little bit more?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So touching on the Tiger Transit incident first, while it happened on a Tiger Transit bus, it happened off campus, and there was a lot of concern initially for privacy of the survivor involved in that incident. And so we let Auburn Police take the lead on when to communicate about that incident. There wasn't an immediate threat to campus because the suspects were apprehended very quickly, and so that weighs in. A lot of times I think the campus community wants communication about everything. Sometimes they feel like we over-communicate, but we try and restrict it to when there's a threat or an action needed as opposed to just being informational. So that was the situation there. And then I really believe the comments made by Chance Corbett, who's our Associate Director of Emergency Management, about the gunshot at the Iron Bowl were very appropriate. As soon as we were notified by the police, they had already mitigated any threat that there had been, and so there was no need to send out a notification at that time.
All right, thank y'all so much.